Fresh herbs are a great way to add color, flavor, and nutrition to recipes. If I have a bunch of herbs, maybe I bought a bunch of cilantro from the store, I like to wrap the stems in a damp paper towel loosely and then cover it back up with the produce bag from the store and keep that in my crisper drawer. That keeps my herbs fresh for about a week. This is actually some flat leaf parsley from my little container garden, and so I just picked this. Now, if I want to use this in a recipe that originally calls for dried parsley, there are a couple things that I need to know. When I use fresh herbs instead of dried, I need to multiply the amount by 3. So if my recipe called for 1/2 teaspoon of dried parsley, I'm going to use 1.5 teaspoons of fresh. The other thing to know about using fresh herbs is that they would typically be added toward the end of the recipe because you don't want them to be cooked too long or the flavor kind of disappears. Whereas dried herbs are typically added at the beginning of a recipe because they need time to hydrate. So if I'm substituting, I want to wait and put this in toward the end. Now, if I'm going to chop this up, I just like to kind of bunch them up like this. And as long as you have a sharp knife, it'll cut right through easy. Sometimes people tell me they have a hard time cutting herbs. It's usually just an issue of not having a very good knife, and you might just need to make that investment when you can. Now, if I'm just gonna cut up just a little bit, maybe to go on my eggs in the morning, and I don't feel like getting a cutting board dirty, sometimes I'll just grab a little kitchen shears and just snip what I want. It doesn't make it quite as uniform and pretty, but it's a good way to do that. One other thing that you can do too is check out these freeze-dried herbs like Lighthouse. I don't use a ton of dill, but I like to keep this one on hand. You can use it just like fresh and it has great flavor.